Okay, so let's install Windows Professional 10 in our VBox environment. And so I just want to make this quick video and try and make this as simple as possible. One thing before we begin that would be of interest to you is how I've got the various VBoxes here, but I don't have enough space on my solid state drive. And what I want to do is to make room. So what I can do is I could remove the VBox. This really isn't something you're going to have to deal with until you've got a full CyberRange, and you have to decide what to delete and what to keep. And it's a good idea to know how to do this. So just for future reference, I'm going to remove, which is VBox's way of saying delete. I'm going to remove that VBox, and then I get another thing here that says like remove only, so it doesn't show up in the list. It'll still be on the hard drive, and I can add it later. My list will at least be shorter, but that's not going to solve my hard drive space problem. So I'm going to delete all the files. So now I've made space and I'm ready. I'm going to click on New, which is going to create a new VBox for myself. And then I'm going to put Windows 10 demo. And I've got Microsoft Windows. I downloaded the 64-bit version. That's what we should be using. The world should be all 64-bit now, so we need to do that. I'm going to go to Next. Here's where I get my memory size. Windows 10 needs at least 2 gigabytes of RAM, so I could just leave that at the default. VBox knows that, so it fills in most of these blanks. So, don't be worried too much about doing everything perfect, because when you go through the system, there's tons of help here. And but at least you can get an overview of what it's supposed to look like. So I click Next. I'm going to create a hard disk, the virtual hard disk file, and it's going to be 32 gigabytes, which is like a good basic size. We're not going to be installing software on here. We're just going to be breaking into the Windows, so we just need like the minimum. And here you can see the different file types. There are all kinds of different file types for creating a virtual machine, and VBox uses something called a VDI, which stands for VirtualBox Disk Image. That's just the name of the file, and that's the format. So we just use it, but it's good to know. Now, we have a choice here on our physical hard drive, is we can use a fixed size, where the file will actually take 32 gigabytes of contiguous space with no fragmentation in there. Some people think that'll speed up their machine, and it might actually work for you. That's something to try. If you fragment your computer before you do this, set the thing as a fixed size, then that might actually give you some performance. I'm going to go with dynamically allocated because I'm running right to the max, and the benefit of this is that maybe you only need 8 gigabytes. So the file is 8 gigabytes, and then if you need more space, the file expands to 20 or to 32, and if you delete stuff, then it contracts again, and that way you can use as little disk space as possible. So, I'm just trying to conserve disk space, so I'll take the default. So there's my the name that's going to appear in my list, and that's my disk size. So I guess one last chance to look at everything, right? I can create. So here's my demo. I can go to Machine Settings, and in Storage, I will be able to change the optical drive. So we're going to point to the ISO file that will install all of this for us. So you have to select the optical drive, and then we go to this little icon here, and we choose our virtual optical drive. Because I've been doing this, all my ISOs are listed for me. You might not see anything because it's the first time, right? Now, I like to put myself my ISOs in the SW Live directory, which is short for Software Library. And then I have a folder called Windows 10 Pro, and then the FAL16 ISO file. Microsoft keeps updating Windows, so this is actually the August 2nd, I think, release of this file. So I keep updating it. Your files are probably in the downloads. You'll click on downloads, and then you'll see your ISOs in there. But mine, mine are in my software library. There it is. Then I go to Windows 10 Pro. There's my ISO. I can click on that and I open it. Now, one thing that I have to deal with, it's my own kind of hell, if you will. I've got so many different versions because I work with Windows 10 Enterprise. I play around with the Home Edition and the demos. And then, of course, I told you that I have different versions of each. So that gets to be problematic. What I have here is Professional, and every one of these is a little bit different. Since I set the ISO as the optical disk, it's going to boot from that. So that's what's happening now, is it's booting. And it'll come up from the DVD. Here's my install. Again, it's just default. It's English United States. Install. And then it's going to go through a long process of taking the files off the DVD and putting them onto the hard drive. For time's sake, I'm just going to say I don't have a product key. And then all that means is I'll have to activate it later. The version of the ISO file that I downloaded is multiple editions. So what that means is that in my installation process, I have the Pro version, which I could select, or the Home version. And I wanted to install Pro. Yours might actually be different, but I have Pro here, so I'm going to hit Next. And, Pro is what we want to install. I accept the End User Licensing Agreement, otherwise known as the EULA, EULA. We're not doing an upgrade, we're doing a custom install. The custom install starts from scratch, so this will be unallocated space because it's an unused drive. Normally, you just buy your computer and it's got all this installed. What we're learning to do here is install Windows. The other option, by the way, upgrade, would put this new version of Windows on the computer and then preserve your data files. But we're starting from scratch. This would be a fresh install. So there's my drive 0. Another interesting fact is computer people count 0 as a number, so the first drive is drive 0. Go figure. Okay, now here's what I was talking about, is they copied some files to the new hard drive. Now they're getting the files ready for installation. We could sit through this, but I'm going to let it go through and get the files ready. And what's going to happen is it'll uncompress the files on the hard drive, and then it'll give me the option to reboot. I'll be sure not to reboot off the DVD. I'll reboot from the hard drive. And then Windows continues to set up all of its files and customize them. So I'm going to put this on pause, and then I'll come back when we're ready for our reboot or more information. So don't change that channel. So we're back. It rebooted automatically while I was gone. Sorry about that. We don't want to press a key because we're booting from the hard drive, so we have to let that time out. And then here we are going through the boot process where it starts installing files. So we're already pretty far into this this video. I'm tempted to hit the pause key again and let it get to the next step. I'm going to do that in order to save time. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, so we're back after the reboot. And again, my optical still has the ISO, so I just skipped that. And now we're actually booting from the hard drive. And we're circling in our flight pattern there so we could land at the airport. There we go, get going fast. I'm all about that here. So we could use the express settings. That's our VM, so we really don't have to worry too much about perfection. Just, delete it and reinstall it. So if you say that you own it, that means you're going to use your Microsoft account. Remember, this is in the CyberRange. CyberRange is going to use a domain controller, Active Directory. So basically, the way you want to install this is, my work or school owns it, and then we say next. Choose how we'll connect. The Azure Active Directory is in the cloud. Everything is going to the cloud, and if you some point in the future experiment with Windows Server 2016, that's what you're doing, is you're making a cloud connection. But we're not going to do that. We're going to join a local Active Directory domain. And we'll actually join the domain later. Right now, all we're doing is setting up a local administrator account. So who's going to use this PC? I don't know. Recently, I was thinking about calling him Fed. It's for the friggin' experimental drive. Fedmin, sort of federal Fed admin. And then I'm going to put hacked as the password, HACKED, HACKED. And then for this, I'll put CyberRange. And hopefully, I'll remember this the next time I try and log in. At some point, I'll show you how to install a backdoor so you could change your password without logging in. After you get the CyberRange done, then we can experiment with that. So I don't know, for some reason I feel like not putting Cortana in there this time. Although my first dozen or so VMs, VBoxes did have Cortana, but I'm going to experiment. So there's really no real right and wrong answer here. Just to try different things. I like watching this here down at the bottom. These are not real, not a real network, not a real hard drive, not a real optical drive. They're virtual. So I get a kick out of watching them blink with the activity lights, because it tells me that the devices are really doing things. It's all virtual. And so I like to see an indication of that. Okay, I'm going to time out again to save time. Okay, so it finished installing, and there we go. I now have Windows within Windows, one computer pretending to be two. So I'm going to log out again just to show you. My window is too small here, so it's giving me problems. Let me expand that. Click this again. Here we go. Here's my account. Now I can sign out. Like I said, every version sometimes slightly moves things around. And I double click on that. I type in hacked, and I can log in. So there you go. So, for this, if you wanted to do the documentation, you could do this, showing like Windows, VBox, and here's your machine. So you could just do a screenshot of the top or something. After you do the first one, all I need is like little screenshots of all the other VMs. Maybe at the end you could do all three, Kali, workstation, and server, all on one screen. It's really up to you. Anyway, thanks for watching.